Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we have the latest on the Epstein case, the Epstein debacle, the Epstein charade, the Epstein fiasco. I don't know what else to call it. I mean, you can't call it the Epstein conspiracy because then you're a domestic terrorist. But we've got all sorts of conflicting reports, as I assumed we would. We're now getting reports of shrieking and screaming heard from the cell. And remember, we already found out that it wasn't a properly trained prison guard that was on watch that evening. We still don't know exactly how he was able to finagle his way off of suicide watch. There are reports coming in that the lawyers for Epstein are now requesting lawyers, which is extremely suspicious. And we also have a John Doe account of him hanging himself with a bed sheet from a bunk bed about 6 feet off the ground, where apparently he had to kneel to do so. So he had to force strangulation until the point of unconsciousness and then still figure out how to remain dead weight after being unconscious. It's really unclear, but let's get into it. So here it is, CBS this morning going over this and saying that shrieking was heard from Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell the morning he died. They're saying that his brother Mark Epstein is the person who identified the body to police. And it's right in that first paragraph. On the morning of Jeffrey Epstein's death, there was a shouting and shrieking from his jail cell. A source familiar with the situation told CBS News. Corrections officers attempted to revive him while saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe." So here's the thing. You know, in the two sentences in the very beginning, they try to they try to say, oh, well, you know, maybe that's correlated with the corrections officers trying to get him to breathe. But would you have heard shrieking if he wasn't already unconscious and they were trying to get him to breathe? It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, again, shouting and shrieking from his cell that was supposed to be guarded and checked every 30 minutes but wasn't, and it wasn't a proper prison guard, and there is no camera footage of any of this stuff, but we're not supposed to ask questions. Seems absolutely ridiculous. So here it is. This is a source supposedly within the jail. This came out yesterday. Jeffrey Epstein was found hanging in his lower Manhattan cell with a bed sheet wrapped around his neck and secured to the top of a bunk bed, the Post has learned. Now remember, the one inmate who spoke on behalf of anonymity said that the sheets were so paper thin there's no way that they could have held you up. Again, I don't know. I'm not in that jail. I'm just reading mainstream accounts. The convicted pedophile, who was 6 feet tall, apparently killed himself by kneeling towards the floor and strangled himself with a makeshift noose, law enforcement sources said Monday. He hadn't been checked on for several hours, sources say. That's ridiculous. That is just unbelievable, beyond the pale, especially after the first suicide attempt. We talked about it. There needed to be 24-hour surveillance on that guy. There needed to be cameras inside his cell, outside the cell, around the surrounding areas. He should have been wearing a body cam that was hooked up to Wi-Fi so that people could have periodically seen it from his perspective. That's how crazy this is. And that's why I'm just not convinced that Barr is so astounded and appalled and how could this happen? I mean, there was no excuses after he was arrested the first time. Okay, and then, you know, all this scandal happens and now we get him arrested the second time right there. He should have been under El Chapo-like supervision, but for some reason he wasn't. And somehow he kills himself with a bed sheet on a bunk bed, leaning forward and strangling himself. Yet we now hear about shrieking and shouting. I don't want to say screaming. It's shouting and shrieking. That's what's getting reported. But of course, we have a lot more to go over on that. Remember, they did an autopsy. They said it was inconclusive until they got further information. They brought in their own pathologist, Michael Baden, who, yes, is a celebrity pathologist. Okay, Michael Baden did work on cases like JFK and what's the other one? MLK. I'm not saying he's to be trusted at all. I just want to let that be known. I see a lot of comments out there as if I'm somehow taking some sort of side or believing the official narrative. No, I'm reporting on everything because I think we should look at everything. Okay, so let's go on down the line. Here they're talking about Congress launching a probe into the deficiencies at the New York federal jail where sex offender was being held. So we already know about the DOJ probe and Barr, and they're going to get to the bottom of it. But now Congress is jumping into the mix, and we already had Ben Sasse, who was very vocal about this prior to Epstein even being arrested. Remember, he grilled Barr on the situation while he was in his confirmation hearings, and that's where Barr recused himself from the initial DOJ reinvestigation over the Crimes Victims' Rights Act because he had worked for Kirkland and Ellis, one of the law firms that represented Epstein in that original case. So going down the line, there's now new pictures surfacing of Naomi Campbell's 2001 birthday party, where you can clearly see one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Roberts Giuffre. And remember, these are the documents here. We're going to get to those, by the way, because I've been going through them, and there's a lot in here. And there's definitely some stuff to talk about. But everybody's known about Naomi Campbell. So that's not really news. And by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell is right here, and she's being circled, and the focus is going towards her. No one seems to know where she is, by the way. In that CBS report, it is they say it is unclear where Ghislaine Maxwell is. You can go watch it yourself. And they talk about how, look, this was a partner in his crime. She also molested these girls. She did more than just procure them for him. She was absolutely 100% a partner in this. So how is she not in jail? Where is she physically on the planet? So again, a lot of these pictures have been out there, but here is a new one, and I mean that's a kid. Look at all these people behind her. Can we hit plus? Can we get this coming up? Good. Can you look at this man has gray hair. She's not a baby. This is a grown man. There's a peak right here, but I would assume that's at least an of-age woman. This girl does not fit into this picture. I want to make that abundantly clear. And now it's coming out that supposedly Epstein has secret diaries of details of all of his friends and acquaintances that are meticulous. Folks, what about the photographs? What about the videos? That's what we should really be concerned about. Now, this is part of the mix, sure. But when we're talking about Prince Andrew and we're talking about these young girls, sure, why aren't we talking about how he's an arms dealer for the royal family? Why aren't we talking about how he's cutting the arms deals with Saudi Arabia? That's his real connection. That's why he needed to be compromised. They wanted something on him. That's why this network is important. That's why it goes beyond just Jeffrey Epstein. That's why we took the time to interview Whitney Webb on her series that really is sealed together by Roy Cohn. If you haven't seen the Epstein Mega Connection video, you need to watch that video. It's about 40 minutes in length, and it just gives you a short synopsis of these 3 separate articles that show you how this deep state network of drug running, arms dealing, pedophilia, and blackmail really came to fruition through intelligence networks and organized crime. Okay, that's what this really is, and that's why this is important. You want to stop this type of thing? It doesn't stop with Epstein. Okay, he's just one of the bigger players that ever got caught. He's the biggest player that ever got caught. Let's get that out there. So now, if you're looking for the documents, you can find all the documents. And by the way, like I said, we'll be going through these. Tony Figueroa, this guy right here, he has now been named as one of the co-conspirators. If you want to check that out. In these documents, along with Ronaldo Rizzo, Lynn Miller, and if you see what Figueroa did, he testified that the defendant would call him up and to bring over underage girls, that the defendant and Epstein would have threesomes with Miss Giuffre. So he would, again, when we're talking about Epstein, we're talking about again, them having threesomes with a young underage girl. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And the thing is that when you look at this guy's record, like what you're looking at here, is it seems like, we talk about negotiated settlements, et cetera, but it's grand theft. And it's for him stealing like a DVD or a VHS tape at a Hollywood video. So, the criminal records in here, whether he was trying to be smeared, whether they were bringing up past events, et cetera, there's a lot here. But yeah, like you can see, this is all Tony Figueroa stuff, one of the new co-conspirators here, all right? And how they were able to see Hollywood video, how they were able to cut deals, or how you even get grand theft on something that doesn't even seem like it would be a misdemeanor. I don't know. So, I have to look at that a little bit more closely. But again, interesting stuff there as well. But anybody can get those documents again over here. Everything is linked. All right. So let's continue on. Remember, Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of Robert Maxwell, media magnate, Mossad agent, intelligence officer. That's the real deal. Okay, that's why she is so important. And with her connections and the fact that they had properties in Europe, including France, there are now French politicians who are now calling for an investigation into Epstein's activities. Jean-Luc Brunel would be one of the bigger names that's been around and in these documents, but there are others, and we've covered other names and how they were connected to Epstein. So we'll see where this goes. It could be more whitewashing. Now, I was one of the first to break, that FBI agents had raided Epstein's home. Well, Rusty Shackelford is at it again, and by the way, that's a pseudonym from King of the Hill, the conspiracy theory character. Now, in the window there, you can see that the FBI, here, let's just bring it all the way up, that the FBI is in the window. Now, we find out, I went through this a little bit, and New York Police Department is also there. So it's not just the federales. Let's get that out of the way. NYPD is also at this house. All right, in fact, here, we'll see them come up right around here. So as you can see, you're going to see right here, there's FBI and there's NYPD. Okay, so NYPD is also on the scene. That gives me a little bit more hope. Again, I'm not saying this isn't, going to be a whitewash, that we're going to get to the bottom of this, that some of this stuff won't be classified. But there you can see some more NYPD officers with the FBI. This guy Shackelford is killing it. By the way, I think they put up, they try to block them out, right? Yeah. Yeah, they begin to block Shackelford out. Here, we'll see, they start putting things up over the thing as they saw the drone. Again, this guy is doing it big, folks. Let's see, we got one super chat. Let's see who this is from. We always take super chats here. Max Tachowski, do you believe the case will stop with the death of Epstein? It better damn well not. I believe he is dead. Epstein had too much blackmail on people. They had to agree on killing him would be the safest bet for everyone. It's a possibility. It's certainly one that we have to entertain. We have to entertain everything. And, I wasn't going to bring it up, but what I really didn't like, I got sent a video of Alex Jones talking about this like on a beachfront or something. And for the most part, it wasn't terrible until it got to the end. And then it was all about the leftists. It's all about the Democrats. It's all about the Clinton body count. And that just makes my blood boil. Not because the Clintons are innocent or good people. It's because this goes well beyond the Clintons. So again, here it is. The FBI, the NYPD, Rusty Shackelford. If you're not subscribed, you're not checking in on that channel, tons of drone footage. We've used it before. We want to thank whoever's doing this because, they're giving open source information to the public, and I think that's extremely important. Guys, as always, we're staying on top of this case, everything about it. Remember, if you missed the beginning of this, we now have reports of him shrieking and shouting from his jail cell. And then, of course, a report that he hanged himself with a sheet from a bunk bed on the top that was only 6 feet off the ground, even though he was 6 feet, and he somehow managed to strangle himself. Very bizarre. Folks, I am trying to do it big. We hit 30K. I still, for some reason, though, am not eligible for channel memberships or to sell merch, despite my amazing numbers and the fact that with your help, I'm trending on Social Blade. So no merch store yet. No memberships yet. We're trying. Let's push the YouTube creators to do such a thing. And remember, we talked about how some of the lawyers may be hiring lawyers for themselves. I want to get that because that's kind of important also. Yes, pray tell, no. Is it before this? Sorry, guys, we got so much stuff here on this as we're at the forefront of it. Why don't we just type it in, right? No, that's the drone footage. This is all this morning. Hold on. Lawyers in Epstein case seek lawyers. Was that Breitbart? And by the way, I'm not trying to endorse, Breitbart. But this is it. Report. Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers hire criminal defense attorneys. When you think it can't get more bizarre, it sure does. So like I said, guys, we're staying on top of this case in every way, shape, or form. We're doing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos a day. I'm going to go take the kids to go see that Dora Explorer movie shortly, and then we're going to get right back at it. And guys, I'm doing this with your help through a GoFundMe. So if you can give me $5, $10, $15, keep this thing alive. That's how we're doing it. I don't have a Patreon. I don't have a Subscribe Star. I don't do personal sessions. I don't promise you Imagination Land garbage and bonus material. Instead, I give everything away that I do for free and try to get the word out and encourage you to just share my stuff across the board, because that's what is important, the information. I thank you guys for supporting me financially so I can do this and continue to do this. And with your help, we're going to keep kicking ass and taking names. With that being said, I'll see you all on the flip side.